The Valkyrie hung in orbit above Earth like a secret unsheathed, dark, sleek, angular. Its hull shimmered faintly with active stealth fields, rippling like disturbed water against the black canvas of space. Commander Aisha Rourke stood at the reinforced glass viewport on the bridge, arms crossed. Her reflection looked back. Sharp brown eyes, short-cut black hair, the thin scar above her left eyebrow barely visible under the overhead glow. "How does it feel, Commander?" asked a voice, smooth and precise. "Like a loaded gun waiting for someone to flinch," Aisha replied without turning. The voice belonged to Solace, the ship's AI, fully sentient, quantum-cooled, and fused with the Valkyrie's core systems. Solace didn't respond with humor or reassurance. It understood this moment didn't need it. The Valkyrie wasn't supposed to be active for another 2 years. The entire Human Defense Directorate had fought to keep Earth's weapons program quiet, deep in Antarctica's ice caves and asteroid drydocks. They'd called her a prototype, a deterrent, a bluff. Aisha had always known better. "Bring up the message again," she said. A translucent interface appeared before her. The intercepted Imperial transmission played. "By decree of the Galactic Imperium, Sector 7 Delta, Terran designate, Sol, will be annexed for strategic and civilizational advancement. Compliance is expected within 1 standard rotation. Resistance will be met with correctional force." The message ended in the same tone all Imperial communiques did: clinical, certain, dismissive. "They didn't even bother to name us," Aisha muttered. "Just another dot on a map to them." "Gravitational anomalies detected at Kuiper Range," Solace reported. She turned. "How many?" 17 signatures. Imperial entry pattern. Destroyers, cruisers, 1 flagship. Class designation, Crucible. All inbound. There it was. The fleet had arrived. Aisha tapped her comm. "Bridge to engineering. Initiate lockdown protocols. Warm up the rail batteries and charge the envelope disruptor." "You sure?" came the voice of Chief Engineer Braith, gruff and wary. "Positive." Solace just confirmed it. "We're not a test run anymore." An hour earlier, she'd been walking the Valkyrie's lower decks, inspecting hull plates and systems like she did every morning. Her boots echoed off gunmetal flooring. Beneath her, hidden behind armor and coolant conduits, were technologies Earth had never admitted to inventing. Plasma-braided projectile railguns, quantum resonance sensors, a drive system that could shatter traditional FTL targeting, and deep in the heart of the ship, an experimental core cannon that not even her engineers fully trusted. None of this was supposed to be needed. Earth wasn't a military world. The Defense Directorate existed more for diplomacy than battle readiness. That illusion shattered 2 years ago. The Empire had sent a punishment ship to vaporize a mining colony on Europa. No warning, no demands. Aisha's brother, Kale, was among the 2,000 civilians who burned. The message was clear: submit or disappear. Since then, Earth had changed. Quietly, purposefully. And the Valkyrie was the result. Back on the bridge, Aisha stood at the Central Command platform. All systems reported green. Her crew, hand-picked, loyal, silent, waited for her orders. "Are we being hailed yet?" she asked. "No, Commander," said Lieutenant Nyla Voss at comms. "They're not expecting a response. Let's give them one anyway. Send a tight beam signal to the fleet, non-standard burst, encrypted with our pattern." "Acknowledged." "What message?" Nyla asked. Aisha smiled, the first in hours. "To the 7th Imperial Fleet. You've made a grave error. Turn back, or be taught what Earth has become." The message flew across space like a needle through fabric. Whether they laughed or scowled on the other end didn't matter. "They'll disregard it," Solace said. "Their doctrine requires overwhelming force to maintain control. I'm counting on it." 30 minutes later, the Empire fired the first shot. A lance of red energy screamed toward Earth's orbital defense ring. Aisha watched calmly as the Valkyrie's forward batteries fired. Twin projectiles, fired from opposite ends of the barrel, met the energy blast mid-trajectory. The resulting collision distorted space for a blink, then canceled both to harmless light. The bridge held its breath. Silence followed. Target eliminated, Solace confirmed. Make us visible, Aisha ordered. The stealth field deactivated. The Valkyrie, matte black and jagged, appeared directly in front of the Imperial Vanguard. One ship against 17. A hush fell over the crew. They see us, Solace said. New signal incoming. A booming voice came through the comms. Deep, contemptuous board. This is Grand Admiral Serix Voltron of the Galactic Imperium. You are in violation of annexation protocol. Disengage your vessel and prepare to be boarded. Aisha stepped forward. This is Commander Rourke of Earth. You're in violation of existence. There was a long pause on the other end. Then, a dry laugh. You built one ship. One. This will be over in minutes. Exactly, Aisha said. She cut the channel. Launch decoys. Full spectrum, she ordered. Activate Ghost Net. Prepare intercept. The Valkyrie bloomed. Sensor ghosts, reflective drones, gravimetric shadows. The battlefield turned chaotic in seconds. Destroyer incoming, bearing 046, called Nyla. Aisha turned sharply. Track it. Feed targeting to Battery 3. Fire at will. The main railgun spun, locked and fired. A blue streak tore through the void. A second later, an Imperial destroyer erupted in silent flame. Bridge lights dimmed slightly as power rerouted. Hit confirmed, Solace said. They are reconfiguring attack formations. The Imperial fleet didn't pause. If anything, they pressed faster. Aisha's pulse was steady. Let them come. The Valkyrie was designed to break expectations. It didn't fight like Imperial ships, which relied on massed fire and brute force. It danced, it disrupted, it struck where no sensors looked. But even she knew, this was just the beginning. Down in the ship's core, power flowed like blood through arteries of steel. The core cannon's housing hummed faintly, as if sensing what was coming. Back on the bridge, Aisha stood alone for a moment, watching the Imperial ships move like a swarm of silver insects against the stars. 17 ships, she whispered, and only one of us. Solace replied, quiet and calm. They are 17 equations built on an old premise. We are the anomaly. Aisha nodded. Let's teach them to fear Earth. The stars rippled like oil on water as the Imperial fleet broke from FTL. 17 warships spreading across the void like a predator casting its net. Each vessel burned cold and massive, silver hulls etched with ancient script, their designs unchanged in centuries. From the bridge of the Valkyrie, Commander Aisha Rourke studied them. They're confident, she muttered. Overconfident, Solace replied. Formation suggests they anticipate little resistance. Aisha leaned on the railing, eyes scanning the tactical readout. That's about to change. On screen, the Crucible, Voltron's flagship, anchored the center. 10 kilometers long, bristling with plasma lances and interceptor bays. It radiated menace, the kind built not just to kill, but to remind others they could be killed. Calm incoming again, said Lieutenant Nyla Voss. Aisha nodded. The bridge speakers crackled then. Final warning. Stand down, Earth vessel. You are outgunned, outnumbered, and entirely surrounded. Aisha kept her gaze forward. Patch me through. Channel open. This is Commander Rourke of the Valkyrie, she said, voice even. You've brought a fleet to conquer a world that never asked for you. We're giving you one chance to leave. Silence. Then came a condescending chuckle. You have courage, Commander, but you've mistaken courage for capability. She cut the line. Let's show them what capability looks like. Begin combat maneuvers. The Valkyrie surged forward, its frame absorbing stress without protest. External plates adjusted, redirecting thermal signatures. In seconds, the ship seemed to vanish. Stealth fields layered over sensor echoes, drone emissions, and false gravity trails. Deploy ghost decoys, Aisha ordered. Silhouettes flickered across the void. Digital phantoms and physical drones mimicking the Valkyrie's shape and mass. The Imperial's targeting arrays lit up with a dozen false contacts. From the Crucible, an order was given. 6 destroyers peeled off and opened fire. Plasma lances shredded empty space. Drones blinked and scattered. A moment later, one real ship burned. An Imperial corvette caught in friendly fire. "Excellent," Solace said dryly. "They've already started shooting each other." "Good," Aisha replied. "Confusion is our best weapon." "Enemy flanking unit, bearing 127, said Ensign Tarek. "Speed increasing. They've found one of the decoys." "Let them chase," Aisha said. "We're slipping past their flank." Solace, status on railgun charge. 80%. Hold fire until targeting solution is absolute. Below the Valkyrie's belly, the forward railgun locked onto its mark. A lone cruiser, separated in the Imperial shuffle, drifted into optimal range. The cannon fired. The round struck just beneath the bridge tower. The ship detonated in near silence. Oxygen vents trailing crystalline ice and burning debris. On the bridge, no one cheered. This wasn't celebration. It was survival. Voltron's voice returned across open channels. "Impressive. I see Earth has been busy. But one trick doesn't make a war." Aisha didn't respond. Instead, she studied his formation. Ships adjusted. Slightly more spaced, tighter communications. He was adapting. "Solace, estimate time before they identify our real position." "Within 5 minutes, based on pattern recognition algorithms." "Let's keep moving then." Next target, Destroyer Fury's Gate, for 1,000 kilometers portside. Minimal escort. Vulnerable engine cluster. "Bring us in quiet. Let's punch it in the heart." The Valkyrie shifted trajectory, slipping beneath the enemy vanguard. As it passed through distorted gravity wakes and residual heat trails, its active camouflage bent light and radiated false emissions. In the black silence of space, it was nearly invisible. "Closer! Closer!" "Firing solution locked," Solace said. "Take the shot." This time, the railgun fired 2 microbursts, smaller, faster, deadlier. The destroyer's engines erupted. It began to spin, crew scrambling, then split in half as internal reactors lost containment. Aisha exhaled. 2 down. But the Empire wasn't idle. "New heat bloom, starboard flank," shouted Nyla. "Carrier just launched fighters. 40 inbound. They're triangulating." "Interceptors? Too fast to chase. They're trying to pin us for a full volley. They want to corner us." "Correct," Solace said. "But they are using standard Imperial pincer patterns. Predictable. Give me an escape vector." "Thread the needle." The Valkyrie accelerated, weaving through the growing fighter swarm. Every motion was calculated in milliseconds, dodging plasma fire by meters, banking away from explosive flak clouds. "Close shave on the dorsal fins," Solace warned. "Shave harder," Aisha muttered. Fighters pursued relentlessly, peeling around the Valkyrie like hornets. But Aisha knew their doctrine. Straight-line charges. Anticipation of linear maneuvers. Earth had trained differently. Activate kinetic scatterburst. Now! From the underbelly, a torpedo-sized shell ejected and detonated mid-flight, spraying shrapnel across the vacuum. 5 fighters collided at once. Others peeled off in confusion. "Nice shot," Tarek said. "Don't get cocky. We're still surrounded." Back on the Crucible, Voltron finally showed a hint of irritation. The lone Earth ship had already cost him 2 destroyers and a cruiser, and now half his fighter wing was gone. "Broad spectrum sweep," he commanded. "Wipe out the shadows. If they want to hide, we'll turn space into fire." 10 Imperial ships charged their forward batteries. Aisha watched the reading spike. She didn't blink. "They're going to try to burn everything," she said. "Disregard targeting. Just fire until something screams. Recommend evasive action," Solace said. "No, let's stay close. They won't risk hitting their own if we get too close." The Valkyrie dove into the gap between 2 Imperial ships. Their lances hesitated. Aisha smirked. "See, even arrogance has limits." Suddenly, the ship jolted. Warning klaxons flared. "Starboard ventral hull breach," Solace reported. "Minor, but armor compromised. Return fire." Port batteries. A series of blasts shook space. Another cruiser lost its shield grid. "Commander," Solace said, "a strike group is regrouping. We are being boxed in." Aisha looked at the tactical readout. The Empire wasn't stupid. It just took them longer to realize Earth wasn't bluffing. "All right, they want escalation," she said, her voice low. "Then we escalate." She tapped the override panel on the command rail. "Begin prepping the core cannon." The bridge fell quiet. "Commander," said Tarek cautiously, "we've never fired it at full capacity." Aisha didn't look at him. "If they want to see what Earth built in the dark, they'll see it in light." The lights on the Valkyrie's bridge dimmed to a crimson hue. Power diverted. Systems hushed like a ship holding its breath. Deep in the stern, buried beneath blast-proof plating and radiation shielding, the core cannon began to wake. "Core cannon charging," Solace confirmed. 3 minutes to full cycle. Aisha Rourke stood still, watching the Imperial fleet recalibrate. Their formation had narrowed. The gap between ships tightened. They were hunting now, convinced the Valkyrie was slowing down cornered. "Easy prey. Let them believe." "Radiation spike," Tarek said. "They're scanning us hard." "They'll see energy buildup, but not the source," Solace added. "The cannon is shielded with null stealth fields. They'll assume it's a reactor overload." "Or a bluff," Aisha said, lips tight. "Just like they always have." 2 years ago, Earth's Defense Directorate reviewed every known weapon in the galaxy. What they found in the records of long-extinct civilizations wasn't technology. It was restraint. Empires fought wars, yes, but never too far. Never with tools that could wipe a fleet with a single spark. The Valkyrie's cannon wasn't a conventional weapon. It didn't fire plasma, rail rounds, or antimatter. It fired disruption. A focused wave of quantum instability that shattered energy matrices, unraveled shield harmonics, collapsed containment fields. Nothing survived it. Not because it destroyed ships, but because it made the laws of physics stop applying to them. Earth hadn't built a warship. It had built a scalpel to the spine of fleets. And now, that scalpel was humming. "Voltron's ships are closing in," Nyla reported. "Range, 30,000 kilometers and tightening. They're preparing a kill box." "Good," Aisha replied. "Let them box a ghost." "Multiple lock-ons detected," Tarek added. "Missile pods arming." Solace broke in. "If we remain in this position, 37 high-yield warheads will reach us before the cannon fires." Aisha turned slowly. "How many if we slide beneath their wedge formation?" 11. She snapped her fingers. "Do it!" The Valkyrie dropped like a hawk through the fold of space between 2 cruisers, dipping below plasma grids and hull-mounted point defenses. The stealth field stuttered, barely holding. Missiles launched. "Countermeasures deployed," Solace said. Dozens of metallic spheres burst from the Valkyrie's flanks, scattering clouds of reflective chaff, infrared bursts, and false gravity signatures. Explosions bloomed in harmless pockets of space. Still, 3 warheads kept course. Aisha watched their trajectory with unblinking calm. Brace for impact. The first missile struck near the port stabilizers. The second glanced off ablative plating near the stern. The third veered at the last second, tricked by Solace's decoy logic. Even as the Valkyrie shuddered, Aisha stood steady. Her hand gripped the console, but her eyes never moved from the target. The Crucible, still unaware of what Earth had just pointed at it. "Damage?" she asked. "Non-critical," Solace replied. "We've lost 4% hull integrity. No core exposure. Weapon charge at 95%. The numbers ticked upward. Outside, Voltron's fleet grew more cautious. One of their ships, the Skyward Ash, peeled out of formation and began arcing wide. Aisha narrowed her eyes. "They're guessing something's coming. They suspect a reactor breach," Solace said. "They're preparing for a possible suicide burn. Let them keep guessing." Inside the cannon chamber, magnetic tethers locked into place. Energy coalesced at the center of the breach sphere, a point of violent stillness collapsing in on itself. In silence, it began to spin, carving instability into space itself. The Valkyrie bucked. "Stabilizers at threshold," Tarek warned. "Core field stressing the bulkheads." "We're holding," Aisha replied. Outside, the Imperial fleet began to scatter. "Too late. Fire control enabled," Solace said. "Target, Crucible. Ready on your command." Aisha stared at the tactical screen. Voltron's flagship sat arrogantly at the heart of the fleet, issuing orders, probably certain he'd won. She imagined his face, composed, eyes heavy with that smug, ancient certainty that came from 1,000 victories. "This one's for Europa," she whispered. "Fire!" There was no flash, no beam, no sound. The core cannon discharged with a ripple. A faint distortion warped the space between ships, like a breath drawn inward and never released. A second passed. Then the Crucible folded. It didn't explode. It crumpled inwards, metal bending like foil, energy collapsing into a point, shields unraveling like spider silk in a fire. The ship vanished, sucked through the eye of a singularity smaller than a coin, which winked out a heartbeat later. Silence. On Imperial channels, static erupted. Commands turned into shouting. Half the fleet suddenly lost coordination. Two cruisers collided trying to maneuver. Another fired its lances blindly, striking an ally by mistake. They weren't a fleet anymore. They were scattered bones. Back on the Valkyrie, the lights stabilized. "Direct hit," Solace confirmed. "Flagship eliminated. Command structure broken. Confusion levels rising." Aisha let out a long breath. "Status of the rest?" "Most vessels are holding formation but not engaging. Sensors detect widespread hesitation. They've never seen that weapon before. Let's make it clear they don't want to see it again." She tapped comms. "Open channel. Broad frequency." Nyla nodded. "You're live." Aisha spoke, voice level. Not raised but firm enough to cut through war zones. "This is Commander Rourke. You've seen what our ship can do. That was your leader. That was our first shot." She waited a beat. "We will not chase you. We will not pursue. But if any of you fire again, if a single lance targets Earth or her skies, we will show you what a second shot looks like. Your command is gone. Your cause is hollow. Choose survival." She cut the channel. "Now we wait." The bridge fell into a tense quiet. Tarek swallowed hard. "What if they call our bluff?" "It's not a bluff," Aisha replied. "The core's already cycling for a second shot." He looked at her, wide-eyed. "But the strain? We're not planning to survive another round." "They don't need to know that." Minutes passed. The enemy fleet drifted, their lights blinking like uncertain stars. Then slowly, one by one, the ships began to rotate, turning away. Engines flared. Nyla gasped. They're retreating. Solace confirmed. 17 ships. All pulling back. No weapon locks. FTL signatures charging. Aisha closed her eyes for a moment. Not in triumph. In relief. We're still here, she murmured. Earth is still here. Silence lingered in orbit like a held breath. The stars above Earth no longer glinted with menace, only distance. The Imperial fleet had scattered. No parting words. No final threats. Just cold retreat. And yet, Commander Aisha Rourke stood at the Valkyrie's viewport, her jaw tight. "Give me fleet telemetry," she said. 17 vessels entered, Solace replied. 12 escaped. 3 remain adrift. 2 are unaccounted for, likely vaporized in the crossfire. "And us?" Aisha asked, voice low. "Alive," Solace said. "But barely." Below deck, repair drones scurried like metallic ants. The Valkyrie's outer hull bore scorch marks and torn plating, system strained past intended tolerances. The core cannon's housing glowed faintly, a subtle red pulse of residual heat. "How long until we can fire again?" she asked. "Not soon," Solace admitted. "The weapon's field lattice warped. Capacitors are degraded. A second discharge now could rupture the ship." "So, they were right," Tarek muttered from tactical. "It was a bluff, after the first shot." "No," Aisha corrected. "It was a risk." "That's different." Across Earth's defense network, cheers echoed. The invasion had been stopped by one ship. Headlines called it a miracle. Civilians called it fate. Politicians were already preparing broadcasts. But Aisha knew better. This wasn't the end. It was the start of something much larger. "Send priority message to Central Command," she said. "Tell them. The Empire knows now, and they'll be back. Sooner than we think." "Yes, Commander," Nyla said quietly. 2 days later, the Valkyrie docked above the Pacific expanse. Earth's orbital shipyard, Odin's Crown, extended mechanical arms toward the wounded vessel. Repair modules hissed, latches clamped tight, and the hum of stabilization fields returned. Aisha stepped off the bridge for the first time since the battle. Her boots clanged softly on the mag floor of the debriefing chamber. There waiting was Director Emil Harrow, head of Earth Defense, equal parts diplomat and executioner in a suit. "You made quite a mess, Commander," he said, not standing. Aisha didn't salute. "We stopped an invasion. You created a new war." She sat across from him. "They came here first." He steepled his fingers. "The core weapon. It was never meant to be used without council approval." "I didn't have time for bureaucracy," she replied. Emil leaned forward, voice colder. "You made a demonstration of a weapon they didn't even know we'd finished. That's the only reason we're not dust right now." He studied her. "You realize what you've triggered?" "I do," she said, steady. "That's why we need more. More ships, more tech, and more people who understand we don't have time to wait." The room fell quiet. Finally, Emil gave a slow nod. "The footage is spreading. The Empire will deny it publicly, of course, but they'll investigate. Reverse engineer what they can. Build counters. They can't replicate what they don't understand," Aisha said. "Maybe not, but they'll try. And next time, they'll bring more than 17 ships." She stood. "Then we make Earth ready. No more prototypes. We deploy the rest of the Ghost line." His eyes narrowed. "Those were never cleared for active duty. They're ready. We don't need permission anymore. We need survival." Back aboard the Valkyrie, repair teams flooded the corridors. Engineers in light armor exosuits rewired scorched conduits. Drones replaced melted heat sinks. In the heart of the vessel, the core chamber remained sealed, quiet but smoldering, like a wound that hadn't closed. Solace monitored everything. Aisha returned to the bridge, exhausted. She dropped into the command chair. For the first time in 48 hours, she allowed herself to breathe deeply. "Do you ever rest?" she asked the AI. "My awareness is constant." "That's a no." Solace paused, then said, "I do not require rest. But I understand you do. You've slept 43 minutes in 2 days. Aisha chuckled softly. "How human of you to scold me. I have learned from the best." She closed her eyes. The silence between them was comfortable. She had grown used to Solace's presence. Part machine, part mimic, part mystery. Earth's most advanced intelligence construct, and still, in a strange way, her only true friend. "Solace," she said finally. "Do you think we scared them enough?" "No." She opened one eye. "They fear us now," Solace said, "but fear fades. Next time, they'll prepare. Then we'll do what humans always do." "And what is that?" "Adapt," she whispered. Elsewhere in the galaxy, Voltron's private cruiser drifted in uncharted space. The remains of his once proud fleet whispered through the void, names erased from the Imperial records. His message to the Empress had gone unanswered. He was not hailed as a hero or martyr general. He was a ghost. He studied the only surviving footage from the battle, looped over and over, a ripple in space. Then nothing. Then his flagship, gone. "How did you do it, Earth?" he whispered. Behind him, an aide approached. "My lord, the Empress has sent a directive." Voltron didn't turn. "Read it." "She commands a red-level inquest into the loss of the Crucible. All records are to be sealed. Survivors silenced. She says Earth must be studied, not conquered yet." Voltron's eyes glinted. "She's afraid." The aide hesitated. "What should we do?" "We study them first," he said. "And next time, we bring more than fire. We bring understanding." Back on Earth, news of the Valkyrie spread like wildfire. Children drew the ship in schoolrooms. Analysts argued over its capabilities on global broadcasts. Nations long skeptical of Earth's United Defense Charter suddenly begged for admittance. And in hidden bunkers deep beneath the Atlantic Ridge, engineers powered up the rest of the Ghost Line. 3 ships built in secret, each housing technology stranger and more dangerous than the last. Aisha watched one of the prototypes rise through the cradle hangar. Sleek, obsidian, faceted like a blade forged by nightmares. "Name?" she asked. "Codename, Revenant," Solace answered. She nodded. "Let's see if she's faster than her sister." As night settled over Earth, Aisha stood alone, staring up at the stars. There were no fireworks, no medals, just the hum of a world that kept spinning, unaware how close it had come to ending. They had won a battle, not the war, but they were no longer prey. They came again, not with 17 ships but 70, battle-tested, reconfigured, each one bristling with layered defenses, predictive systems, and data gathered from the shattered wrecks of their first encounter. The Empire no longer underestimated Earth. But Earth had changed too. The Valkyrie didn't face the second wave alone. Beside her, 3 new ships hovered in silence, black as vacuum. Revenant, Spectre, and Wraith. Together, they formed the complete Ghost Line, Earth's final deterrent. No more prototypes. No more secrets. Commander Aisha Rourke stood once again on the bridge, calm and steel-eyed. "Fleet arrival in 67 seconds, Solace said, voice even. "Status of all ships?" Aisha asked, adjusting her gauntlet as the tactical screen pulsed. "Full combat readiness. All Ghost Line vessels report green across systems." Tarek's voice cut in from the auxiliary helm. "The Wraith's cloak is already triggering false signals on their approach. They think we have twice the number of ships." "Good," Aisha said. "Let them overestimate for once." From the depths of space, the Empire surged forward, confidence sharpened by vengeance. The Sanctifier, their new flagship, emerged at the front, armored in graviton plating, Shielded by triple-phase barriers, its hull emblazoned with the Empress's sigil. Voltron had been silenced, his failure erased, but his obsession had infected their designs. They thought they understood what they were facing now. They didn't. Not yet. Aboard the Spectre, Captain Lang's voice came through the secure link. "Commander, final position locked. We're tracking their front wave. They're deploying counter-quantum shields." "Expected," Aisha replied. "Stick to the window." "Confirmed. On your mark." The Ghost Line ships weren't faster or stronger. They were smarter, designed to bend physics without snapping, to fake signatures, mask vectors, erase heat blooms mid-combat. The key wasn't power. It was illusion and precision, sharpened into a blade. "Engage phasing matrix," Aisha ordered. The Valkyrie flickered. Not cloaked, worse. Phased. It shifted 3 nanoseconds out of sync with real space, enough to blur its location across every known targeting system. The enemy's formation tightened. "They're locking onto ghosts," Solace observed. "Let them chase shadows." The first barrage came fast. Plasma volleys, missile swarms, and charged matter beams sweeping the area where the Ghost Line had been. But nothing struck. They fired at images, echoes, digital tricks layered like traps in space. "Return fire," Aisha said. From Revenant's ventral spine, a rippling pulse carved across the void. Not a beam, more like a silence expanding. It cut through the flanks of 2 cruisers, and their outer hulls simply folded. No flame, no shockwave. The ships imploded without resistance, their cores gone before they could scream. Back on the Sanctifier, chaos bloomed. 2 vessels lost, Solace reported. "They're hesitating. They want a weakness," Aisha said. "Give them one." Tarek blinked. "Wait, what?" "Lower Wraith's forward shield. Just for 5 seconds. Let them think we slipped." It worked. 5 enemy ships surged forward like a pack of predators. The Wraith flickered, playing injured prey. At the last second, it dropped a sphere from its core. A singularity anchor disguised as debris. The moment they neared it, the trap triggered. Space-time twisted. Their engines overloaded. 3 ships collided mid-evade. 1 vaporized by its own weapons cycling back. The 5th never made it out. Its signal dissolved. 6 down, Solace announced. "And still they don't run," Aisha muttered. "They are afraid," Solace replied. "But they've buried it under pride." Then came the shift. The Sanctifier stopped. Its shields doubled. A new signature lit up beneath its hull, something dormant. "Until now. Quantum negation grid," Solace said. "They built a counter to the core cannon," Tarek muttered. "They think it'll protect them." "They built it from scraps," Aisha said. "Let's test their theory." She nodded once. "Core cannon online. Target the Sanctifier. Fire when ready." A low hum began, soft and steady. The Valkyrie's decks vibrated, then steadied. The weapon was more stable now. Refined by failure, upgraded under fire. The containment lattice held. The ripple tore outward. This time, the Sanctifier held. For 5 seconds. Then it cracked. It didn't vanish like the crucible before it. Instead, its shield sputtered, sparked, and failed. The hull buckled inward. Not destroyed, but silenced. Its systems stripped of cohesion. It drifted, unpowered, inert. The light behind its windows dimmed. No retaliation came. The remaining Imperial ships paused. And fled. "Fleet dispersing," Solace said. 17 ships gone. 30 damaged. Only 11 remain combat-capable. All pulling away. Aisha exhaled slowly. No pursuit. Understood. Silence returned. Not fearful this time. Just quiet. In the hours that followed, Earth hailed the Ghost Line as the wall that held. But Aisha didn't celebrate. Not yet. In the war room below Odin's crown, she stood before the Defense Council, her voice unwavering. This isn't victory. It's delay. You don't consider the defeat of an Imperial flagship a win? A senator challenged. It's not the defeat that matters, she said. It's the message. They now believe we have more like us. That Earth isn't behind. It's ahead. A pause. That lie keeps us alive, Aisha added, until it becomes truth. Later that night, she walked alone through the dim corridor of the Valkyrie. Solace activated a nearby console, lighting her way. You don't rest after victories, the AI noted. I rest when I know the next battle won't be worse. Statistically, it will be. She smiled faintly. Then I guess we need better odds. Then we need more commanders like you. No, she said softly. We need fewer like them. From a dark nebula beyond charted space, the Empress of the Empire watched the transmission in silence. No advisor spoke. No scribes recorded. She saw Earth's fleet, their deception, their power. But what chilled her most wasn't the weapon. It was the woman, the look in her eyes when she gave the order. Not hatred, not rage. Resolve. The Empress stood and whispered to no one. We've awakened the wrong enemy. Back on Earth, the stars were quiet again. The ghost line held position, shadows among light. Earth rebuilt, planned, pushed harder into research once buried under fear. And in her quarters, Aisha stared at the void beyond the viewport, watching for the day silence would break again. Because she knew it would. But next time, Earth wouldn't just survive. It would lead.